Konnichiwa, and welcome to the Dripping Stone Podcast, the podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle.
Hey.
Before we get started this week, I want to invite all of our new listeners and our old listeners as well to grab a glass, preferably a Glencairn, and drink along with us this week.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're all about. We're about sharing a glass, sharing a pour with all of our best friends.
Yeah, indeed.
And I count everyone listening among our best friends.
Same. And I mean, you know, like how often are you looking at the whiskey content, the stuff that we frequent on the social medias, and it kind of gets you in that spirit of like, man,
oh yeah.
Man, I know. I think I might have a bottle of that right now. I'm going to go get a little taste of that while I'm listening to this guy talk about it.
Exactly.
Happens to me all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. You know what? All of this is better shared together and with friends.
Just enjoying the social aspect of the whole thing.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Hey, get out of my head because I was just going to say that.
Sorry,
yeah,
man.
But that is what you're right.
Yeah.
That is what it's all about.
That is why you're right.
That's, yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Correct. Hey, I got a question for you.
I've got an answer.
Heard a little bit of news, and I'm curious to see if you have also heard of this news.
Taylor Swift's coming out with a new album?
No.
Tom Brady has retired.
No, it's about a sequel.
Oh.
I've heard that a movie is getting a sequel.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a direct sequel or if it's just like, here's another movie somehow connected to the previous.
The way you're looking at me tells me I need to know this, and
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank.
No, I was just curious if you had heard of this news yet. I just heard about it literally like an hour ago.
Oh, then probably not. No.
There's a movie coming out
Uh-huh.
called Twisters.
Oh, I have. Yes, I have heard about this. Because
the question is, what is your excitement level? And what do you need to see from this movie?
as you know, I'm guarded with most things of that nature.
Have we featured it solely on a podcast?
I mean, we've talked about it. Like, I don't think we've done
Certainly
a
in
Twister episode.
In the movie quotes.
Yeah, definitely.
episode.
Rabbit is good, rabbit is wise.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
There you
Yeah. I don't think we've done a specific Twister episode.
I mean, obviously we will have to before that movie comes out.
That might be the first episode. My wife's like, yes, please, I will come on.
I
and
will listen.
Are we
and I will
drinking Henry
participate.
McKenna? First of all, is going to be her first question. And can I talk about Bill Paxton?
Yes and yes.
That's how we get Carol on the podcast. It's actually pretty easy now that I think about it.
Yeah. Piece of cake.
I am excited, but I'm super guarded.
Yeah.
Because like the confluence of what made that movie good is not the right word.
Sure.
Is you had Michael Crichton, who wrote some of it.
No kidding.
Or wrote all of it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
You had John
Cena?
No. What is it? Jan Durant? John. Man, I can't remember.
Durant.
That was it. No. I forget the director's name. You had Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, young Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
You had Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Oh, yeah.
You had a good cast.
You had a unique set of circumstances that came together and made cinema magic.
That, I think, is the right way to say that.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to capture that again? The weird quirkiness of that?
Right.
I don't think it works now.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. When was the last time you saw Twister?
I mean, a couple months.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
it's always, I know I've said this before. It's always on, syndication on TV.
Right.
And now I don't have TV now. I've finally made that decision. But it was on Max or something. And I put it on, and literally Carol and I watched the whole thing straight through.
Yeah. I remember at some point in time after we had recently talked about it, Lorelai and I had sat down and watched it.
Yeah. Nothing of that movie makes time-wise sense at all.
Oh yeah,
like,
I do remember that.
Nothing makes
I do
sense.
remember that part of it of like, oh man,
it's like
it's got so many holes in it.
Yeah, it's got like you go from like night to day in like the span of like 3 minutes.
Yeah, or like one side of Oklahoma to the other instantaneously.
None of it makes
like
sense.
It's a hard follow, and
oh yeah, it's
at the time it was great.
Oh yeah, well I think it still is. I think it still is a great movie, but it doesn't work now because movies aren't made that way now. Because like there was I think a very 90s suspension of disbelief.
Sure.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Entertain me.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't have to think about it.
Right.
But now when you do think about it, it's like, oh,
yeah, like
bummer.
Bill, you ran over like some lead pipes with your truck, and all you did was like popped a tire. Nah.
Now you're gonna have more issues.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah.
All of that to say, sorry, I didn't mean, you got me out there.
I know.
Listen,
Get excited real quick.
We might need to have a spin-off podcast. See what I did there? Spin off.
Oh yeah. Got it.
On Just Twister.
Yeah. For sure.
But
it'll run for seasons.
easily
5 seasons right there.
Oh, for sure. 1 episode seasons though.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Well,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it, but also, unfortunately, Bill Paxton's gone. Philip Seymour Hoffman's gone.
Right.
Not that I don't like Helen Hunt.
Right.
Obviously, I think she can still do it, but like, what makes that movie special is like the confluence of weird.
Yeah, totally. And I just don't know if you can really, that I guess that's my question of the whole thing are they going to try to have it be a sequel of some sort? Helen Hunt's character is still in the game somehow, or there's a new team and they need that extra bit of evidence. And so they go to her. I don't know. I can't imagine what the story is going to be in a direct sequel.
Right.
Or is it just here's a new story of a new set of circumstances where these people have to go to discover more information about tornadoes? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's just one of those things of I can't right now contemplate how it works.
Yeah.
But
we'll
strange,
see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And it's also too, it's not one of those movies that had like an iconic soundtrack or something like that would make you, oh yeah, the nostalgia of that's going to kick in or something. But I don't know. I
think it's the same thing of like, it's because it's played so often on like TNT or it was like people have a relationship to it. So it's like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it should happen, but
if we think we can make $1.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I saw that today and I was like, huh, okay.
I'm for it, and let's see what happens.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
I got a question for you.
What's that?
Can we drink something?
Yeah.
What you got?
I got a bottle of some Japanese whiskey.
Ooh,
pays
fitting.
into that.
Yeah.
Doesn't pay into anything. It plays into that intro.
The title. Oh, the intro. The Konnichiwa.
You're right.
Is that why I said Konnichiwa?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We planned this episode out briefly.
Sorry.
And we thought that'd be a fun tie-in.
Yeah.
We thought that'd be just a great idea. And so we just immediately did it.
No thought. Yeah. So what you got?
This is Nikka coffee grain whiskey.
Ooh.
We love the Nikka.
Yeah, we do.
We love the Nikka straight from the barrel.
Yes. You still got some in a bottle down there.
I still have a pour or two left down there.
Yeah. Mine's gone.
Right after you just finished it recently too, right?
No.
Oh, you're just holding on to the bottle.
Yeah, I just had the bottle. Well, the bottle's my infinity bottle. Oh yeah, I held
true.
I held on to that bottle for quite some time after I finished it, just because I like that bottle.
Sure.
And it's at a price point where like I don't know if I'm ever going to buy it again. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to buy it again.
Good point.
But I like that bottle.
And that price keeps creeping up too.
Yeah.
I remember it used to be right around 70.
Yeah, I saw it in a Wine Totally a couple weeks ago for like it was like 90, 91, something like that, and it was a little like, oh no.
Yeah. So after we did that original Nikka episode way back when, my intrigue in the brand was piqued.
Yeah.
I saw this bottle not that long after and decided to pick it up. Yeah, Nikka coffee grain.
Yeah.
So, I know you like coffee. I like coffee. We like whiskey. This should be great.
Yes. This is true, sure. But the coffee in coffee grain has nothing to do with bean water.
Right. Hot bean water.
Hot bean water in the same way. Do you know about the name coffee?
Well, from reading the back of the bottle here.
Oh, it's got some bottle words?
Yeah, a little bit of bottle words.
Hit me with them.
Nikka coffee grain whiskey. This grain whiskey is distilled in a coffee still, which is a very traditional and rare patent still Nikka imported from Scotland in 1963. The coffee still produces a complex whiskey with a mellow and sweet taste originating from the grain itself. Please enjoy the uniqueness of this whiskey, which Nikka offers to the connoisseurs.
So I did some research into the coffee still when I first saw this product. I'm like, what the hell is this
Yeah, they
thing?
have coffee still in quotation marks.
Correct, yeah. From what I understand, I'm not a distiller, and I don't pretend to be one, but the coffee still is a type of column still it's finicky and it's kind of difficult to use. Like column stills are used almost everywhere now.
Right.
Your big boy distillers are using column stills, or you got like the Irish whiskey, like the pot still kind of thing. And a bunch of distillers are using that too.
Right.
But there's something about the coffee still that's just a little weird that makes it, I guess, more difficult to produce, or more difficult to distill with. But the design, as you read, somehow traps more of the flavors of this. Yeah, the flavors of the grain itself.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure of the science of that. I mean, yeah, I guess you can, research the patent. I've got some other things for you too.
Okay, hit me.
While Masataka Taketsuru was staying in Scotland, he had an opportunity to learn how to distill grain whiskey in a coffee still from craftsmen at James Calder in Bowness in 1919. So this was in Scotland.
Okay.
Masataka valued the feature of this type of still and installed 2 sets after he established Nikka whiskey.
Gotcha.
The first still was imported from Scotland to Japan in 1963, the second in 1966.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if it's Masataka bought them from Scotland and brought them over. That's what it sounds like to me.
Sounds like that.
From what I understand, they're distilling in those today.
Original.
I don't know if it's the original or if it's like, refurbished or copies of those.
Right.
But from what I understand, Nikka was the first to use those kinds of stills in Japan.
Incredible.
Yep. You have anything else on that bottle?
Nope.
I got some online words. You want me to read them to you?
Do.
The Coffey Grain is a signature grain whiskey, which was released in 2012. It's predominantly made from corn. Whiskey distilled in a coffee still is matured in old casks, such as refilled, remade, and recharred casks originally made from American oak, so probably bourbon casks, to deliver the sweet and mellow flavors of coffee distillates.
Fantastic.
Yeah. This product meets all the criteria, a fairly newly established criteria for Japanese whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is.
Well, I can tell you.
Oh, what is that?
So the kind of the basis of it is that Japanese whiskey must be made from grain that is, I think, from Japan or like harvested in Japan.
Right.
It must be made from Japanese water, and it must be aged in Japan for 3 years. Gotcha. At least. I know that there are some other qualifications, but I read that 20 minutes ago. So
sure,
I'm not,
sure.
I'm not exactly sure.
It's on the back end.
But yeah, Japanese whiskey.
Japanese whiskey.
Sorry.
No, all useful stuff.
Oh, well, whiskey nerd stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's what we are.
Exactly.
Get into it.
Please do. What kind of cork was that, Nikka?
No cork.
No cork.
Absence. That was the absence of cork.
Well, the whiskey from the barrel doesn't have a cork either.
Yeah, must be a thing.
Must be a thing. Thank you, sir. Hey, do me a favor.
What's that?
Pour one for yourself.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Whiskey in the glass.
What's more beautiful than that right there?
I mean, not many things.
I mean,
at this point,
we've got a pour of Glencairn up to the rim. Can't even.
No, it's just a normal pour, like we always do, just right to the apex of the curve.
Correct. Yeah. We can swirl it around, not spilling it everywhere.
Correct. Yeah, because if you had it up to the rim, that'd be stupid.
Right.
Clearly anybody that would suggest that's just kidding, just kidding around.
Correct. But honestly, like what's better than that? A whiskey glass with some whiskey in it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful. I might get that tattooed on my left butt cheek.
Ooh,
I know. You think Glencairn?
It's a pretty long saying.
No,
probably split it over it.
No, like what? Wait, what?
What's better than that?
No,
I don't know. No.
You think we can get our friends at Glencairn to pay for my Glencairn tattoo?
I mean, it's worth a shot.
This is just a pun-heavy episode.
Yeah, we're just throwing them out there.
All right.
It's whiskey colored.
I'm gonna say it leans further away from bourbon and more towards Scotch.
Sure, Scotchy territory,
very much so,
but darker Scotch.
Darker Scotch, and I would expect that. We don't have an age statement here, but I would expect that based on what I know of Japanese whiskey. A lot of it, as we just read, a lot of it finds its roots in Scotch.
Right.
So I expect that. Side note, the Nikka Distilling Company, they own the Ben Nevis Scotch distillery in Scotland.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I think their Nikka malt, I think, has distillate from Scotland in it. The coffee malt.
The coffee malt has Nikka distillate in it.
The coffee malt has Ben Nevis distillate in it.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's a blend.
Yeah. What you got on the nose?
Touch of proof.
I'm going to say 90.
It is 90.
Okay. Expert. What else you get?
Little marker.
Little expo. Yep.
But I think that's predominantly just coming from the proof.
It's weird. I do, and maybe it's just because we talked about it, but I do get like the softness that you would get on the nose of like a Speyside Highland Scotch.
Sure.
But like the caramely nature of a bourbon.
Yeah. Caramely, malty kind of thing happening.
Yeah. But also knowing that it's grain, and it's going to be predominantly corn, it's got that like bright sweet to it.
Sure. Yeah. A little bit of that cream corn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would really like to have a
can of cream corn,
a mellow corn
oh.
right here beside it to.
You
compare.
know what? Now that you say mellow corn, that's exactly what it conjures.
I know, right?
Like not refined, like a little rugged, but like that soft kind of. I don't know. Does it make sense? Like billowy almost.
Yeah, it's got that with just like a little more like toasted.
Yeah.
Barrel quality, a little bit more age on it, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because like an Irish grain, a grain Irish whiskey has a little bit more of the spiky, like just a little bit more rugged nature on the nose. Mm-hmm. Whereas like this has the same kind of scent profile of a bourbon with like the slight billowy, rounded edges of Scotch.
Little touch of leather. And the more I'm nosing it, the longer I'm nosing it, more of the barrel influence is starting to come through on it.
Exactly. All right.
Okay.
You want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Enough sniffing. Time for sipping. Okay.
See, look, there's the curve on it.
Yeah. Ooh, got a little hug. See, now to me, it tastes more like an Irish whiskey. Like I'm not saying like the shortbready nature, but just like that sweet grain Irish whiskey nature.
Yeah. Sweet, smooth, oily.
Yep. Ooh, I didn't even think about the mouthfeel. Yeah, definitely oily.
Kind of creamy.
Maybe it's just because you said cream corn, but like now I just can't not think about it.
Yeah. But it's like caramelized cream corn. It's like
totally.
Like the corn kernels got a little too roasty toasty.
Yep.
The sugar's in there caramelized a bit, and then you threw the cream in there.
You ever had like a casserole made with cream corn? There's some cream corn in that casserole. You're from Alabama. You definitely come on.
I do have a corn casserole that we have every casserole season.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. I'm probably thinking of the one that you have.
But it's not cream corn, like in the traditional sense.
Right.
I know of a dish called a cream corn spoon bread that is essentially a sweet cornbread
with
more or less cream corn poured over the top of it, and it's conjuring a lot of that for me.
You know what? Now that you say that, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like you have one of those at like a church potluck or something.
Sure.
And you're like, man,
yeah,
that's pretty good. Who made that? Oh, I shouldn't eat that.
Oh, Betty? Damn, Betty knows what she's doing. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, but problem is Betty's got 15 cats. That's the problem.
Yeah. Something's on the back of my throat now. I got it.
Okay, good. Gross. But that is what it tastes like. It tastes like it's sweet cornbread, but like with a little cream in it.
Yeah, with a little Irish cream poured over the top of it. I mean, I'm not joking. I kind of mean that.
No, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's friendly in a way that I didn't expect.
Yep.
I expected it to be way more rugged on the palate.
Oh, really?
Because I know it's a grain whiskey.
Sure. But, for me at this point, granted, I think this is only my second, I'll say third Japanese whiskey.
Sure.
And my experience and what I've had from there, everything leans towards friendly.
Yeah. Okay. You're right.
Certainly I'm sure that, it exists out there where there is that more rugged, complex, kind of gritty whiskey. I'm sure it's there. I just haven't had it yet.
Right.
So my understanding right at this point in time of Japanese whiskey is kind of in tune with an Irish whiskey.
Yeah. From what I understand, the Japanese, man, they love them some whiskey. Like whiskey is huge in Japan. Yeah. I mean, I know that we're big in Japan because like we're big celebrities in Japan.
Yeah.
But whiskey's actually more famous.
Commercial over there.
Oh, it's so good.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like if you saw did you see Lost in Translation? Bill Murray?
No.
Yeah, that's basically like it's kind of us, sort of, without the weird, sexual relationship.
Right.
I'm not surprised now that you say friendly, and we talked about that, and I'm not surprised that this is good.
Yeah, delightful.
Yeah.
There's also one that's got a yellow label. And that's probably the
malt. That's the malt. Yeah.
And there's one that's like a sunny something or sun kind of a thing. I've seen several varieties of the Nikka. Based on what we've had, I kind of feel like I know what I'm going to get.
Nikka Days is
Days, that's it. Yeah. Sunny. I was thinking like Sunny Days.
Yeah. I think I have a Nikka gin at home as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I do, the coffee gin.
Yeah.
If not, I know that I've had it, and it's great too. Kind of tastes like this, just not aged.
Just brighter and no color.
Yeah, exactly. The problem with this particular bottle is that it's a little pricey, and it's definitely gone up here within the last couple of years. I know you've had this bottle for a minute.
I have, yeah. I went through quite a bit of it, about half of it, and then haven't come back to it in quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember when the first time I saw this particular bottle and the malt, because I think I was drawn to the malt first, it was maybe $60.
Right.
Right now,
I'd say that's probably what I paid for this.
Yeah, right now at your local Wine Totally, this one's gonna run you $80.
No kidding.
Yeah, and the malt's gonna run you $90.
Oof.
So that's my problem.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it has something to do with, export and import, VAT or whatever, taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
This is a great introductory whiskey. This is a great, just all around easy sipper kind of whiskey.
Yep.
But it's too expensive.
Yeah. For 90 proof. Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And I recommend it, but $80 ain't it to me.
Yeah, I don't even know the 60's it. If I could get another bottle for 60, would I right now? Probably not.
No, agreed. Yeah. But if this were 40, sure. I mean, and I think obviously we've had this conversation relatively recently about, our philosophies.
Yep.
But if you think about a wishy-washy. If you think about a whiskey initiate or someone who's just trying to experience Japanese whiskey.
Totally.
$80 it's a little prohibitive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you name a Japanese whiskey that you would recommend that you can get for under that?
No.
I mean,
but
Suntory's right there,
like Suntory Toki.
Yeah, and that's not much. It's probably right around 40.
But see what Suntory has on its side is also a huge boost in accessibility because it's Jim Beam.
Right.
So there's a little bit of more reciprocity.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Yeah, I don't know if Nikka has any.
No, I think they're
collaborative
still,
effort over here.
I guess what you would say a bespoke distillery. They have several distilleries in Japan, and obviously Ben Nevis in Scotland, but they're still in relation to Beam Suntory, they're still a small company.
Sure.
So that's the tough sell,
Well, and it's interesting to me because Japanese whiskey it did have for me anyway quite a boom of awareness.
Yeah.
Over the last few years.
Sure.
I mean, I've honestly had a couple of different interactions with people.
Yeah.
Where they're like, have you had Japanese whiskey? I guess just that awareness of the thing, it certainly seems to have its fans.
Oh yeah.
I've never had an in-depth conversation with any of these people. These were just kind of in passing kind of things. But, from my experience of the things that I've had, I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised that it has a following.
Definitely not.
Definitely
not. And I'm not surprised it has a following amongst bourbon drinkers and Scotch drinkers.
Sure. And there's some intrigue just in the fact that this is a Japanese whiskey.
It's something different, right?
It's something different. It's going to have that kind of intrigue
I literally was going to say that it's not that it's substantially just blow your mind better,
right.
but it's different.
Right.
And different can set a drinker apart, if you will.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, you like X bourbon. That's great. Have you had Japanese whiskey? Oh no, you haven't. Let me school you.
Right.
Kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that by any means.
Right. Try this.
Yeah, exactly. And I love those conversations.
The noir, the terre noir of it.
Right.
It's like you're saying, if this meets the qualifications to be a Japanese whiskey because it's Japanese water, grain, X's and O's,
sure,
and you're ticking off all those boxes, cool. Let me experience that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Now we've got a great pour.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about this week?
The reason we've decided to reference Japanese whiskey specifically and a smidgen of the language.
A smidgen? You mean one singular word?
Singular word. It was because we've both completed the viewing pleasure of a series on Netflix called Blue Eye Samurai.
Yeah, we did.
Had you heard about the series at all before I brought it up to you?
Not at all. And can I tell you though, generally,
yep.
Outside of Studio Ghibli,
sure.
I'm not really a big anime fan.
Okay.
and for no other reason than like I just haven't had a whole lot of exposure to it. So like,
Would you not have exposure? Anime specifically.
Yeah,
Okay.
like or anime or that Japanese style of animation in this same vein. Because
Gotcha.
I would say that this falls pretty squarely in line, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and for no other reason than it's just exposure. Like I just haven't been exposed to enough of it.
Right.
So it wasn't something recommended to me like through the algorithm. So when you recommended it, that's when it came on my purview.
My introduction actually was because I follow an artist, Brian Kissinger.
Yeah.
Who is like the visual development artist for the series.
Yeah.
So probably like a few months ahead of time, he started sharing images and like promotional stuff for the series. And I've actually followed him on Instagram for several years.
Yeah.
Have always enjoyed his work. And so when I started seeing images for this, I started getting really hyped just because like I like his work so much.
Yeah.
And then in a couple of the first trailers and shots, like I could see like, oh, this is going to be great.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like the set designs, if you will.
Yeah.
Like everything.
The settings.
Oh man.
Hit so hard. Choreography and everything. The cinematography, everything is like maximum.
Did you ever see the Jet Li movie Hero?
Sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the epitome of kung fu kind of action movie that like it pushes that like, you know, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of aesthetic, but then makes it just gorgeous. Like there's a scene in that movie, an entire fight scene happens in like the rain and all the water, like it slows down. That they kind of were doing the bullet time kind of thing, and like the water slows down. There's a whole fight with like cherry blossoms falling from the trees, and Blue Eye Samurai reminds me of that, like, and then some.
Right.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. First and foremost, it's just fun to watch just to see the visuals because it's like looking at a painting.
It really, truly is.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that for you following this artist, then this translates into, you know, obviously liking the animated series.
Yeah. And I was able to like, you know, like gear up for it.
Right.
And like, it was almost like a countdown of like, I cannot wait till this gets released. Like I know that's the next thing I'm going to binge on Netflix. As soon as that's out, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
And so first few episodes that I got to finally watch it, absolutely, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
And it kicks off so well. And it's a great show, man.
So I first downloaded it because I was on a budget airline to Portland, Maine, and I knew there'd be no in-seat entertainment.
Right.
So I'm watching, and then all of a sudden, like I see myself like kind of hiding the my phone. Because like, I'm on a plane of, you know, families and stuff, and it's a little graphic.
Yeah, indeed.
And it's definitely, if it were a film, it would definitely be rated R, maybe even something stronger.
Well, I mean, I think the series itself is rated R.
Is it on Netflix? Is that?
Yeah, I think it's rated
Netflix
R.
Do that kind of rating? I
think it's actually rated hard R.
Oh, really?
NR.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
No, NR is not rated.
Oh, okay. So then, whatever the thing is, like I remember watching, or you know, something that Brian Kissinger posted about, like, this is heads up, guys. Yeah. Like this is not a family friendly anime that you're gonna want your kids to see.
And I think for me, that's what draws me to it even more. And I don't know if we've done an episode. I can't remember if we've done an episode about like the graphic violence in animation.
We've talked about it.
But I know you and I have talked about it.
Yeah.
In specific reference to like Invincible.
Yep.
Which is just super graphic.
Right.
And to me, like I'm drawn to it because like that violent aspect, sure. But that also becomes an interwoven into the art.
In this example.
Absolutely. I don't think that works for Invincible.
Yeah.
But it's gratuitous violence, but with a purpose, or it serves a purpose maybe.
Yeah. I feel like it's because there's intent behind it.
Right.
Kind of a thing. Whereas like in the example of Invincible, a lot of that gory violence is
shock value.
Yeah, shock value and like awe-stricken, kind of like, you know, just to make you go like,
oh, God, that's gross. Yeah. Whereas this, it's less like Tarantino violence of like over the top, campy and ridiculous.
But with a lot of that also.
But there's some, that's what I was going to say, there's some elements of that, but it serves the purpose of conveying the kind of the brutality of this samurai. I mean, people getting cut by swords.
Right.
And other things.
Right.
It's not just for the shock value.
Yeah, it does serve something of a narrative through line.
Yeah. And I think what's really interesting about this, and I have some thoughts and some theories on, what this is actually dealing with, is that it is both rooted in historical fact and completely removed from historical fact at the same time.
Right. Yeah, it's like on an Elseworld kind of a thing where like this did happen but could never have happened.
Right.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, so the loose plot, because I don't really want to spoil a whole lot here.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and that's not necessarily like we're not doing a review necessarily. No. It's just like our interpretation.
Yeah. But the storyline, the main storyline follows Misu, who is our Blue Eyes samurai. Mm-hmm. Misu is the
protagonist.
Right. And the child of a white man and a Japanese woman.
Right.
As far as we know within the story, the confines of the story. And because of this, you have Japan, which this is part of the historical fact aspect, Japan isolating itself from the outside world, if you will, and becoming very Japan oriented. Like,
right.
Nope, this is what we want. We want to preserve.
Shut off from the rest of the world.
Correct. We're preserving Japan.
Oh, yeah. Our culture, our people.
Right.
And I mean, it plays into that same kind of pure blood, mud blood take on that a lot of things utilize.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which is why Miso is known as the Blue Eyes Samurai.
Correct.
Because Misu has blue eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so clearly not pure Japanese.
The features of Misu are very
ambiguous.
Ambiguous, but mixed race.
Sure.
Too. And it's clear, like, in terms of looking at the Japanese characters and then looking at basically the one white character who is supposed to be English, but has a vaguely Scottish accent, but he's played by an Irish actor. That's another matter. Abijah Fowler is his name. Misu occupies a space, kind of this liminal space in between all of that.
Right.
So Misu is seen as an outsider, as not wholly Japanese and not wholly white.
Right.
Because of that, Misu is absolutely an outcast, like seen constantly, and with even the first like 10 minutes seen as monstrous.
Yeah. Yeah. From both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like no, can't find acceptance anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
In a situation of you're in your homeland, you feel like a foreigner.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's basically a revenge narrative from there on out.
Sure.
Misu is trying to seek revenge on the white men and the people who harbored those white men that basically created
the situation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's where the storyline takes you. And basically, Misu as a Blue Eyes samurai, the narrative kind of explains how Misu becomes a samurai, samurai in very loose quotations, but hunting and tracking down Abijah Fowler and seeking to kill Fowler.
Yeah, and Misu picks up an apprentice along the way who's a great character.
Such a good character.
These side characters are then pulled into the narrative,
mm-hmm.
and everybody kind of meets at the climax, and all these stories come together. Some people are seeking, a restoration of honor, and other people are searching for freedom and the lifestyle that they want to lead, and it's all such a really intriguing, intertwined rope of a narrative that
it truly
pretty
is.
Great.
And to me, what it does is it opens up my perspective of what animated things can be. And not that like I've ever like, oh, it's animated, it's not a real movie. I've never thought that.
Yeah.
But it's like, wait, there's a whole really super rich narrative that I don't know if I'd ever want to see a live action version of this.
Yeah, maybe not like a whole movie. Like, I don't know if there was like some sort of like a, just a short kind of a thing, maybe. But like, I think if anything from like the recent Disney live action retellings of their classic stories is, I think we've kind of begin to see that it's all it really is like an alternate version.
Right.
But I don't know that we ever really gain anything from it. Disney certainly does.
Sure.
They gain a lot of dollars. But, narratively and things like that. Like maybe in 20 years, it'd be cool to have a live action take on it where it's a new direction and it's a new thing. I certainly wouldn't need it right now.
But I guess
this is great as it is right now.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is like it solidifies this medium is rich storytelling.
Right.
And like, again, not that I ever thought that it wasn't, but as someone who's not had a whole lot of experiences with this kind of storytelling, it really solidifies like, oh, there's more than just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's more than just, early 90s Batman. It's in terms of like animation. There is, and there's more than Pixar. There's more than that kind of animation.
Right.
And you can get adult stories because this is very much an adult story.
Yeah.
And you can tell
you see a wiener first episode.
Yeah, you do.
Not a hot dog.
A wiener?
Male genitalia.
Correct.
First episode.
Yeah. Genitals everywhere. And
viewer be warned.
Much more than that as you continue on.
Yeah.
But it's that like, here's an adult narrative. Here's an animated thing that is not meant for kids. And as soon as you get engrossed in the story,
right,
the animated aspect falls away.
Yeah, to a degree. I would agree with that. I think to me, as a fan of animation, practically my whole life, I've even myself, I've had to come to this realization of I think there are things unique to animation that cannot be replicated.
Yes.
Through live action, and then you can really kind of start to debate, well, like, at what point in time is CG just a different version of animation?
Correct.
So you're really kind of more utilizing animation to make the live action better, and then the argument for why are you using certain filmmaking processes? I don't know. But for this, I think utilizing the animation the way that they do in this specific way, which it's hard for me to even really kind of compare it to anything else because it is so specific. It's almost a dishonor to it to even, suggest how else would I rather view it?
Right.
Because this is the work of art.
Yeah.
And, I don't think you'd look at a painting and say, oh man, I'd love to see that as a sculpture.
Right.
It's just like, no, just
this is the chosen medium. Yeah, exactly. This is the chosen medium.
By the artist, this group of artists that have made this thing. So absolutely just enjoy it for what it is.
And I think that's a result, that kind of thinking on the opposing end of like, oh, I would like to see that as this comes from adaptations. Right. Adaptations of films or books to films, animation to live action. And it's like, but the thing existed as that for a reason.
Sure.
Whether you're trying to tell the story of Hamlet through lions because we can't actually get lions to do this.
Right.
You made that choice. So to some degree, like, although adaptations of books have existed since basically the movie business has existed, it's almost like, well, that's not what the author intended. They wrote it as a book because it's supposed to be a book.
Right.
So I see that argument of like, absolutely, this is supposed to be animated. This is what they wanted. And like, there are only things that you can do within this animation form that don't translate very well to the others.
Right.
Or doesn't translate as well, maybe.
Right.
I always look for something negative to say or something like negative I don't like about something. Mm-hmm. And I really don't have anything.
Yeah, I mean, how many episodes was it?
8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think pacing was done pretty well. Mm-hmm. The series gets broken up into episodes that are kind of like more heavily backstory driven. Yeah. Not flashbacks really, but just kind of like,
though.
Let me give you some info here. So I felt like that was good. It's like it would give you an episode that progresses the narrative forward in time, and then you get an episode that's like, well, understand where this came from.
But it wasn't wholly one or the other necessarily.
Right. Yeah, it was a good balance back and forth. So I liked that. I felt like, for me personally, it was a bit... The only negative thing that I would give is that it seemed... Not that I felt like Misu was OP, like overpowered.
Sure, yeah.
Because...
You see a lot of Misu getting like just pummeled.
Yeah, for sure.
And like in some cases...
having to recover.
Almost dying. Yeah. Like, ugh.
The balance of Misu achieving some incredible feat certainly worked, and then you'd see something that was just like completely like, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yes. Okay, I can see that.
There was some of that, but not too much that it was like annoying or anything.
I attribute the crouching tiger, hidden dragon kind of a...
Yeah, like the floatiness or,
Not that like they're
I'm
literally
not sure
like
physically
flying.
that you can do that.
Right. Right.
where they did try to ground it so hard in believability in other scenes. So I think when they would have those moments, it was kind of like, yeah, you're kind of pulling me out of it.
Yeah.
But I think it was one scene where Misu was going through this castle.
Sure.
To get to like, a boss kind of a thing that like there was almost too much that Misu had to take on, and where it was just kind of like,
that's ridiculous.
From what else you've shown me where Misu did get injured and had to take days off to recover, there's no way that this could be accomplished right now.
Correct.
So it was like you did too good of a job of basing me in reality over here.
And then you get to that episode and you're like,
where I'm here, it's like,
wait a second.
That just seems unlikely.
When I watched that episode, I was like, it takes me out of this a little bit.
You shouldn't have shown me your boundaries were here,
right?
Only to then disregard them here.
Exactly.
That'd be like my one nitpick.
Okay, I do have something, and I don't know if it's a positive or a negative, because I think it can be both. I love that all of the voice actors are played by people of Japanese descent, or in the case of Abijah Fowler, played by Kenneth Branagh, which is, I don't know what you know of Kenneth Branagh. Well,
I know Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah. Oh man, I love me some Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, the fact that they would go after him to get him to do this shows you the
Shakespearean actor,
shows you the integrity
and director
that they're bringing in.
Yeah. So like you have, all of the characters are, again, of Japanese descent in some iteration. You've got Maya Erskine, who is Pen 15, and she's also in the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith that just released like a couple weeks ago with Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Brenda Song, who was a Disney child actress. Darren Barnett,
Miss Macaulay Culkin.
Not Darren Barnett, but Brenda Song. Darren Barnett, who is in some other Netflix stuff. Randall Park, George Takei, and Masaoka, who was in that show Hero. He was in Hawaii Five-0, like the reiteration of Hawaii Five-0.
Right.
I don't think it's just a representation kind of thing. It feels like...
I think it can be both.
Okay.
I think it absolutely can be appropriate representation when I think, if you watch even just the first episode of this show, you will see that's accuracy is very important.
Correct.
That they're portraying things accurately.
Yeah.
And representation. I mean, like the apprentice that Misu picks up is
disabled.
Is a disabled person. So that representation, it is very clearly important to the makers of this show. But I think, like when you look traditionally at like a Ghibli film, where when it gets dubbed into an American version, it's white people doing the dubbing for Asian characters,
right?
And whether or not that's traditionally done in that way, the fact that they were like, no, I would still rather be accurate in our representations is to be commended, I think.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think it is to be commended, and you're right. It is a cognizant choice.
Yeah.
So that leads me to my one nitpick, if I can call it that.
Okay.
And that's with all of these great voice actors and all of this like based in reality, that all of this is in English. And it was made in English. To my knowledge, it was made in English first.
Yeah, I think it was like animated in English. Like they're not, it's no dubbing.
Right.
That is interesting. And because like as somebody who has like I've watched not a ton of anime, but a fair amount, and have watched it both ways. Have watched even the same series. I've watched episodes in Japanese with the subtitles, and I've watched the same episodes with an English dubbing.
Right.
To see the difference. And it's weird. For some series, I prefer it dubbed, and some series I prefer it the original.
Right.
Whether or not like what I guess just kind of whether or not it may just be which way I watched it first, and I just kind of get
that's the way I remember it.
That's the way I appreciate it.
See, okay, I'm on record as like I would rather the original language and subtitles. Mm-hmm. And I know some people hate subtitles. I don't mind them.
Sure.
And maybe it's just because I'm a fast reader too.
Right.
But like when we recorded our episode on All Quiet on the Western Front, that is dubbed, and that for us in America, that's what it shows you first. And I changed it.
Right.
And I'm like, no, this was meant to be in German. This has to be in German.
Right.
And there's so much more, like you lose so much of the emotion when it's not in German.
Right.
And maybe it's just because like I know it should be.
Right. This way, it didn't bother me simply because that was the intent.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it bothers me. It just, I guess it kind of like, it surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people making the thing, it was clearly their intent for it to be in English, regardless of the situation. Maybe that's just because they knew it was going to be on Netflix. It was predominantly going to be showcased to perhaps an American audience, or what it was,
sure,
what the reasoning was. But it would throw me off if they were clearly speaking Japanese and we were seeing that dubbed version.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think for whatever reason, that is kind of the success of the Ghibli movies, is that I don't, like, the ones that I've seen, that never seems to be the issue. They seem to somehow they dub it so well
that it looks...
that it sounds accurate. It works with the movement of the character's mouth.
Right.
So it doesn't throw me off.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. Like, and maybe it's also because they're not, to my knowledge, at least I don't recollect it, they're not like throwing in random like people speaking in Japanese. It's like, it's all in English.
Right.
You don't have like, some things are Japanese and some things aren't. Like you have, you know, all, is it kanji is the Japanese lettering? Sounds right?
Yeah.
You have like, everything's written in Japanese script.
Right.
But to my knowledge, I don't think there's almost any words spoken in Japanese. So like, it doesn't really like take you out of it because of that too.
Right.
And maybe you're right, because it's intended to be maybe seen specifically by an English speaking audience, that, and because it was intended to be, or it was animated in English, like there's not that like, oh, that just takes me out of it.
Yeah, that weird.
Yeah. Oh, their mouths aren't the same, and it doesn't.
Like the old Godzilla joke.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 Or every early Jackie Chan movie where like,
yeah, it's like
he's speaking English, but like nobody else is.
The sounds coming out of his mouth don't match up what his lips are doing.
Right. But overall, man, fantastic series.
Yeah, highly recommended. It was fun. Maybe like a week or so after I watched the series, again, the artist Brian Kessinger made a post of basically saying like, now it's up to the viewers.
Yeah.
If there's enough viewing and things like that, enough streaming hours or whatever the algorithm is, they'll get greenlit for a season 2.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, he posted that sure enough, they did it, and there'll be a season 2.
Yeah. Which I'm really happy about. Yeah. Normally, like I'm always hesitant for a second season of things.
Right.
But this, like, it warrants it.
Yeah. Cause it definitely doesn't end in any way.
No.
The story in a satisfying way for any of those characters.
Right.
Everybody just kind of gets to a point of ending for the season, but you know that there's so much more that needs to be done.
It reminds me of the first season of The Mandalorian. It's like, okay, if it ended there, I would be okay, but I'd also be I'd be a little disappointed because there's more to this that I need to know.
Yeah.
And not like, it's not one of those situations of like, oh, you guys are just making another series because it's streamed well and like you feel like you have to, cash grab for this. It feels like I need more of this story. And I love that.
Who specifically do you need more of? Which story?
Ooh, that's tough, man. Because we haven't even talked about Taigen.
I know. Like there were so many like obviously Miso's story is so intriguing and so involved, and you get so much backstory for Miso.
Yeah.
That obviously you kind of want to see that come to a fruition of redemption and retribution and all that kind of stuff. But all the side characters that you're introduced to, like I thought the fascinating story of, she wasn't a princess, but she's like this noble lady.
Yeah, Akemi.
Yeah, Akemi.
That's
I'm not sure what his
Seki.
role. But what's his role to her?
Her tutor,
guide.
Basically. Yeah.
Like
that's George Takei's character.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal
so
character.
Good.
Such a great arc of for the vast majority of the show, he's very much like trying to guide her on the path of least resistance, but yet still being happy and
her
finding
rebellious nature. Yeah.
Well, and finding, happiness in life and fulfillment in life, but then him finally coming to the realization of like, you're never going to find it here. And I've been trying to guide you in this kind of like old way thinking.
Right.
You need to fly. Like you need to be who you are.
Oh yeah. And that's represented.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just fucking great.
And that's represented by the the birds that she's associated with.
Yeah.
Completely. Like it's those little like small little literary things. It's like,
yeah. But they do
she
so
is
well.
the bird that keeps getting shot down. Oh my God, it's so good.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I want to see Ringo's story.
Ringo is
he's a drummer in this little band. You probably haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
The
Roaches.
That's it. The Roaches.
Yeah.
The disabled guy, no hands.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Ringo. Like, I want to see his story. Like, what happens? Because what's gonna happen to him?
Yeah.
And
for me, it's the boyfriend.
Tigan.
Yeah, I need his full arc.
Yeah, because
I feel like we're like maybe like a quarter of the way through.
Right.
You know, I feel like there's so much more to his story that I need to see it, because you can see it starting to happen.
Yeah.
And him starting to see that things aren't the way that he understands it to be. And it's very reminiscent. I feel like it's going to be very reminiscent to Zuko in Avatar of this. I know that this is what I need to do to accomplish everything that I want. Mm-hmm. But as I'm slowly getting there, I'm learning new things. And it's I think
the world that I thought I knew is not the world that it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know Avatar, but like I know enough of it that like
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
we got to do that next week.
What?
Next time we record.
You want me to watch all of Avatar by next week?
Yeah, because the live action starts February 22nd. I've been telling you to do this for 3 years.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I also like, to me, what this season is about is not just these storylines, this revenge narrative, but it's also about like modernity and changes for, in this case, modern Japan. Because you have, the introduction, and this is, again, it's not a spoiler, but you have the introduction of guns. And that's something that Abijah Fowler does. Mm-hmm. And like this character brings modern firearms in so much as like muskets, basically.
Yeah.
To Japan.
Right.
And like it's about what you just said. It's about the shifting and the modernizing and the moving forward, even in this country that is supposedly cut off from everything, and that you cannot stop this kind of development.
Right.
And I love that it's set against this backdrop of feudalistic Japan. Like even in this so heavily heavily rooted in the
tradition
manner in which, and tradition and the way the culture functions.
Yeah.
Even then, this revolution starts to happen.
Oh yeah.
Whether you want it or not.
Yep.
This is going to change things.
Yep.
And you see this in you mentioned Tigan. You see this in every single character, and you can't stop this. So how do you adapt to it?
Yeah.
And I think that's what, especially towards the end of the first season here, that's what it starts to play with.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Last Samurai.
What
Tom Cruise.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it exists.
Similar. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I'll say, like, I saw it when it came out, because it came out early 2000s, 2003.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Definitely probably more than 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I don't remember it because I saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember it.
Yeah. I love that movie.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
In about 4 years.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm due. Well, you got anything else?
No, can't wait for season 2.
Nah, me neither.
But I can only imagine like the amount of work that they put into
I was
this thing.
gonna say,
it can't be anytime soon.
If they were waiting for the green light for season 2 before they started producing it,
right,
it's gonna be a minute before we get it.
Yeah, I mean, all your character models are done. Like that wouldn't, there's certainly not as much work you got to do to get it going, but still, it can't be like 2024, late 2024 at the earliest. I would think.
I think that might be that might be
that might be pushing it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it, and it makes me want to explore more media like that, because it's not my normal.
Right.
So I guess I gotta watch Airbender now.
Avatar. I mean, One Punch Man. That's like one of the first things I ever said. We need to do an episode on One Punch Man.
Yeah, I watched that too.
So good.
I'll put that on the list.
And then,
so when we're in year 8 of Drepping Stone, I might actually watch it
once everything else is already done.
Yeah,
and it's like its 4th rendition of it. Well, we weren't ready for it that last time. But this time,
right.
Nick saw the first 2 episodes. Yeah. We can talk about it now.
We'll give it the Joker treatment. Remember, like that was like a second episode. Like we'll talk about the Joker. We never talked about the Joker.
Never did it.
Yeah, we'll do that again.
Oh man, yeah, so good.
Well, we want to know, what do you think about Blue Eye Samurai? If you've had a chance to see it.
Yeah, and if you haven't, you need to. It's totally worth it. Even if you just watch the first 5 minutes of it. It's just so beautiful, just to get a sense of what animation is capable of nowadays.
Absolutely.
It's just gorgeous.
And I'm going to say, I guarantee you watch about 5 minutes, you're going to be sucked in.
Yeah. I mean, you might be turned off at some point in time by some of by some of the rougher content, but you'll definitely get a sense of what we're talking about. Some of the scenes and settings are just phenomenal.
Yeah, they truly are.
Yeah.
We also want to know, what do you think about the Nikka coffee grain whiskey?
Yeah, if you haven't had the coffee grain, have you had any Japanese whiskey? And let us know what your favorite one is.
And what bottle we should pick up next.
Yeah, what should we be on the lookout for?
You can get in touch with us through email at drippingstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
All over social media.
Yeah.
Come find us somewhere, see a video, watch a video, share a video, like a video. And we'd obviously really appreciate that.
Yeah. Dude, we're at the point where people are copying our videos and posting it to their own stuff.
What's up with that? At least give us a shout out if you're going to do that.
At us. Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Be nice.
Yeah. And if you saw that video by some other people who posted our video, be like, hey, that's Dripping Stone video.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing?
Come on now.
And we'd love it if you support Dripping Stone. You can do so by reaching out to other creators who are taking our videos and reposting it. You can also support Dripping Stone through our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/drippingstone. Helps keeps the recording machine working and the lights on.
Helpful things, those.
That's really all we got. You can also support the podcast by rating Dripping Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts like this one.
Just like this one.
Finally, Kyle.
Finally, Nick.
You can support Dripping Stone by telling someone about Dripping Stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were recently at a big whiskey event.
Big whiskey event.
And I was able to talk to thousands of people about Dripping Stone.
Indeed.
And every single one of them appreciated it.
Lovely exposure.
And you might be one of those new listeners.
Yeah, totally.
And so just do us a favor and tell somebody else.
Yeah. Keep the word going.
Oh, so good.
Pay it forward.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. As the Japanese would say.
What's that?
Kanpai, buddy.
Kanpai.
Well, Coffey is the name of the guy.
And as we yeah. Nope, never mind. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Mr. Dreppenstono. Dreppenstono.
I can do it again. You want me to do it again?
Dreppenstono.
I want to know what you're typing in, Konnichiwa. How are you spelling that?
Could you not just throw a at Dreppenstone on there?
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
So that, you're giving credit to it?
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm going to take all that out.
Or another pair of pants.
Let me say that.
The delay was so good. I got a hair somewhere.
I don't see it.
Every time I'm nosing it,
is it on the glass?
Tickles the side of my.
I don't see it on the glass either. Get you some of that corn whiskey.
I mean, that smells like alcoholic cream corn.
Did you watch the whole movie? Or you just watch that section? I can't ruin my streak.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.